Welcome back to Light Talk, where the paranormal and the supernatural is a part of our everyday life. Today, I am so excited to have this guest on the show. He's got so many different stories that he's going to go off on, and we could talk forever. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, go ahead and introduce yourself and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm Russell Reynolds. I'm the founder of Beyond Life Paranormal Research, Missouri. I'm also the team lead for Cold Spotters, Missouri, which the mother team of Cold Spotters was founded in British Columbia, Canada by Amanda Quill. And we had taken over the state of Missouri for the Cold Spotters family, which is a big world-renowned group globally known from the United States and internationally. And my journey kind of started when I had my first experience at the age of 6 years old in a house that we lived in. And things would move around the house at night. You'd hear footsteps. Some of my mom's knickknacks on her shelves would be moved, and she'd think us kids were playing with them. And we were still too small. I was only 6. My sister's only 4 at the time. And my dad would wake up freezing and go downstairs to the thermostat, and the thermostat on the heat is turned all the way down. He thinks us kids were playing with it. And again, we were still too small. We couldn't reach the thermostat. So the dog would dig at this one wall and growl and bark. And one night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard a sound, and us kids slept upstairs and woke up to a full bodied apparition standing in my doorway at 3 o'clock in the morning, just looking at me. And I remember I was one of those kids that put the blanket over my head. It's not real. It'll go away. And then I got the curiosity. I'm like, I'm gonna look up again, and he was gone. And it was a Civil War soldier standing there. And growing up in New York State, the house was 1800s. It still had the skeleton locks and everything. The old stone wall foundation underneath, and the wall that my dog was digging at, my dad was going to open it up, and the attic had been sealed up, but he decided not to because they were renting it with option to buy. So eventually it got too much on my mom. I mean, you'd have candles lit when the power goes out, and you'd see a breeze blow through and blow the candle out. And then one morning, woke up and the car started. And this was long before auto start was even invented. And so it got too much on my mom. We ended up moving out of there because I can remember we were at my grandmother's for Thanksgiving dinner, and my dad had just come home from work, went to take a shower, comes in the house, lamp is on in the bathroom, and the water's onto the tub, and the water's overflowing onto the floor. Now, none of us was even home at that time. We were all at my grandparents waiting on my dad to get there. And he calls up my grandmother's house and tells my mom, we need to get home. There's a flood in our bathroom. And then toilets would flush at night, water would turn on and off at night, lights flicker. So we finally moved out. Another group of people moved in there, and they didn't even last about a month in that house. They moved right back out. Every tenant they kept bringing in there kept leaving. Finally, when I got older, and I was probably about 15 or 16, a group from New York City had bought it and started renovating the place. And they opened up that wall and that attic that had been sealed up, and they ended up finding Civil War soldier uniforms, money, bayonets, guns, maps, surgery equipment. So I started doing a little history research and found out it used to be a Civil War base and hospital back in the 1800s. So there was a lot of soldiers that died in that house. And so that started my paranormal journey. And then I started investigating at the age of 13 because my neighbor's house was also haunted. I would stay there as a kid, and I would stay there with dad, and you'd see a little boy sitting there against the wall just throwing a ball against the wall, and see an old man. And I got talking to one of the neighbors that used to own the house, and there was an old man that lived there. His son got sick and died. He was a farmer, and he couldn't take it anymore. He ended up hanging himself in the barn, and he was haunting the place. And then the neighbor, her mom and dad were also haunting the place. Brother was staying there, and because that was his mom, and I remember him telling me he looked up. They had a grate in the ceiling so the heat could go upstairs from the fireplace, and he looked up there and seen somebody looking down at him, and it was his grandmother looking down at him.
So, what did you think when you were seeing all these, like at 6 years of age, seeing this, and what? How did you feel? I mean, how did you go about understanding any of this and telling your parents and all of this? How did that come about?
Well, I got most of it to myself because my dad was a skeptic for a while when it came to it. He always thought there was a rational explanation, which most of the paranormal is, but when he started believing when he goes outside and the car's running and there's no keys in the ignition, there's nothing, and then mysteriously the water's turned on to the bathtub and the house is flooded. So, and a lot of it I just kind of kept to myself, played off because I didn't want to seem like that weird kid in school. And so I myself, and then at 12 years old, I ended up having a seizure from a fever, and I
Mm.
had passed away, and my mom brought me back, and so now I have abilities to where I can see them, hear them, feel them. I'm also empathic, I can feel emotions, and
Wow.
eventually my dad, he uh he started seeing things, and then once I started getting older and more into the field, and his abilities started kicking in, and I was like, well, we're gonna put your abilities to use too. You're gonna start coming with me, and now he's been since, but he had a terrible car accident back in the 70s and
Oh,
woke up to 300 straight to the hospital. So
wow.
he's one that can see him, hear him. He can read people. So when we do our investigations and we're dealing with clients, he does our interviews because if they're hiding something, he'll get it out of them.
Wow. That's
And
pretty awesome.
it's also in the bloodline too because we are also related to the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, and John Zaffis, and
I haven't
they're the
heard of
owners
them.
of they're the owners of
Oh, okay. Oh,
Annabelle the
wow.
Doll.
So,
Yep. So
okay.
it's in the bloodline, but didn't know it until a few years ago when I was doing genealogy and found a cousin of mine in Florida, and we started putting all the pieces together. And then Ed and Lorraine started tying into my family along with John Zaffis and all of
Wow.
them. So, so it was kind of like
Wow.
a calling for me to get into the paranormal and start helping people like they did. And we deal with the darker demon stuff too. Like they also were one of the few teams that will go out and do a demonic case. And we've seen some stuff as far as the demonic stuff, what it can do, and I've seen people's eyes rolling in the back of their heads, upside down crosses getting scratched in their neck.
Is that like the scariest thing you've seen with all of that, or
Yeah,
what's got you?
yeah, yeah. That was more of the scariest. Our first demonic case. I can't dive into names because confidentiality, but we were brought in because this lady was sleepwalking. She was waking up with bruises. She would sleepwalk, jump in her car, go to the store while she's still sleepwalking, buy something, jump back in her car, go home, and wake up in the front yard. And then she'd wake up in a bathtub. And the grandkids started seeing stuff in the house. And there is one confirmed death there, but the previous owners had been playing with Ouija board in the house, and they were doing some occult stuff in the house. And so she started experiencing a lot of this stuff, and then she wanted to kill her husband. She hated that man, and that man's a first responder, EMT, and he's gone sometimes weeks at a time, and she just despises him. One of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. And so she called us in, and we came in. We went there to interview her, and I have clients fill out forms and stuff, and she was filling out a questionnaire, and it was like something was controlling her hand, telling her what to write. And so we got looking at that. She told me she had her cabinet doors would open, her drawers in her cabinets would fly open, and she had a lot of bugs and stuff that just mysteriously showed up. And
Mm, mm.
so there was a closet downstairs she was terrified of. And the day of the investigation, I went to bring my team down there to show them, and she went down with us. And as soon as I opened that closet door, there's a noose hanging in there from the
Oh,
previous owner, and it had all different sizes in it. And as soon as I opened it, it was just like someone flipped a switch with her, and she started crying and started freaking out, and it wasn't her. And she ran upstairs. Her daughter goes, "I love you, mom." She goes like this and runs out the door. We go out after, try to calm her down, and one member, she's holding her hands, and all of a sudden she goes, "I don't want it to leave. Can't make him go." And then her eyes started rolling in the back of her head, and then an upside down cross started getting scratched in the side of her neck. And her husband says, "You have to help my family, please." And I said, "You have my word. We're going to do everything we can. If I have to bring clergy in here." And I had a demonologist on standby, which is Sister Farrah Rose Perry, who I study under. And she's like, "No, you got this. You can handle this." And it took about 6 months of working with the family, doing cleansings, and now they're back to normal. We're like family to them. They call us over for dinner. In fact, we're going over there for Thanksgiving dinner on Saturday,
oh, how sweet.
and we saved that
Awesome.
family. And that was one of our
Wow.
real scary cases that we've done. That was my very first one that I've had to deal with something dark like that.
Have you had any that were like jokesters or anything like that? I mean, how
Yeah,
is
we've had a few that were like to joke around, move stuff around, and I'll get some of them on there that'll start on the spirit box and start cussing, joking around at me, and it it's kind of funny. I'll give it right back to them,
yeah.
and a lot of them are they're when they're friendly like that, they want you to joke back with them. They're not you be like, "Oh, get out of here," or anything like that. As long as they had a sense of humor when they were alive, so they're going to carry that into death too. Same with your bad ones. If you were bad and you were a mean person when you were alive, you're going to be a mean person when you're dead.
So
So,
explain how that works, because I hear if you keep that same personality, is that because you're stuck on Earth, or because I hear when you actually cross over, I mean, you go through the she's judgment and all of that, and you understand and you become all love. So how does that
how does
person keep their same personality?
that well, a lot of them, it's not that they're trapped. A lot of them don't realize they're dead or they still got unfinished business. So they haven't reached that crossover stage. They're still in their, like a residential case, for example, if that person died there, that was the last place he saw. And that, to him, that's still his property. So he's going to do everything like he did when he was still alive because he's protecting his property. He doesn't realize he's gone already, and a lot of them hang around for waiting on family members too, so they can both go together. And so they're gonna keep that same personality that they were when they were alive. I mean, my mom, she passed away in my house here, and she comes back and forth. She still comes to visit. She still does everything she did when she was alive. She still harasses my father. She'll bang on the pots and pans just to get him going, and she's been spotted. Some of my psychic friends, when we were on a video chat together, they've spotted her standing right behind me.
Oh,
She's been spotted on cases with me.
how does that
So
make you feel being able to talk with your mom like that?
it makes me feel good. The day she passed, and I actually got to talk to her that night on a spirit box.
Oh, wow, that's fast.
Yeah, and I tested her to ask her only something she would know about me, and she hit it right on the head. Nobody else knew it. And we talked to her, and then for a while there, we talked to her. Then it stopped for a while, and I figured, and I asked her, I said, "Are you trapped here?" She says, "No, I can come and go as I please."
Okay.
And I says, "I do not want you to be trapped here. If it's your time to leave, I want you to go. Go up there and be with my grandparents." But she still comes back to check on us.
Yeah,
So
I still get little. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I set up a camera in the house, and she was cremated, so I have her urn, and there was a bunch of it was a full spectrum camera, which is the ultraviolet camera, and these light anomalies were dancing around her urn
Oh,
in the middle of the night. And then one shot about 3 o'clock in the morning through the living room right to the kitchen. She used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and have her coffee, and then she would go back. So
yes.
she was up at 3 in the morning, went to the kitchen, and then you see the orb go right back, and then right down the hallway to the bedroom, and then disappear. That light
Oh,
anomaly.
that's
So,
awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I had my dog's ashes in our living room, our previous, and I believe she came back and was an orb to help out our current dog. So kind of gave her the rules of the house, you know.
yep, and animals do come back. I worked a case in Kansas for somebody, and they had a cat pass away, and I actually caught the cat on my SLS camera going to the actual food bowl.
Oh, really?
and it showed up like a stick figure on four legs, walking right to the food bowl.
Wow. That's really cool. That's awesome. So
So, and
what kinds of things do you see and feel? Because it sounds like you have like all the clairs. So what are some of the clairs that you've really clung to?
uh, I mean, I can see him when, if I really open myself up, I can see him. A lot of times during an investigation, I don't open myself fully because with me being the team lead, I got to watch out for all my other members and make sure they're safe. And if I'm gonna open myself up, I get drained quite a bit. But I mean, I can see him like how you and I are looking at each other in a solid form at times. And a lot of times I can, most of the time, is feel them or hear them. If I really tune in and open myself up when it comes to that, like the movie theater that we did when we stopped down there to give her some papers to sign, we walked in there and I was standing there and the owner was talking to us and I kept watching over her shoulder in this doorway that goes in back into Cinema One. Now this movie theater was on the episode of Dead Files called The Madhouse, and we're the only investigation team to actually go in there after Dead Files and
Wow.
investigate it and confirm Amy Allen's a legit medium. And so I was standing there, we were talking to the owner, and I was looking, and she kept seeing me look, but she didn't say nothing. And then when it got time to come back to the investigation, she goes, I saw you watch from my shoulder, reddish hair, parted on the side. I said he was in like 1920s attire clothing. He had round rimmed glasses, and he was kind of in like a suit, a lighter colored suit. He says, you just described the old former manager, Frank Cello, who used to run the theater. And he was
Wow.
accused of murder. He shot and killed a man there on the front doorstep,
Oh,
right
wow.
out there on the sidewalk, because the guy wouldn't leave his wife alone.
Mm,
And he gave the guy a warning. He said, you take my wife and you marry her. And the guy says, no, I'll leave her alone. You got a wife, you got kids. I don't want to break your family up. Well, they were across the street at a get together at this hotel, and the hotel's not there anymore. It's now a parking lot. But they both been drinking. Frank went to the restroom. He come back out and hears Estel flirting with her. So they got in an argument, and Frank told Estel, "You keep messing with my wife, I'm gonna kill you." They argued some more. Well, Estel went to leave. Well, Frank followed him. They got across the street in front of the theater, pulled out a 38, and shot him right through the chest.
wow.
And that man died right there on the sidewalk. And he also haunts the theater as well. And he's
Wow.
not a very friendly. He, he's already got one of my former members. She don't investigate anymore, and actually he took over her body to the point her face was sitting there morphing to his, and she's sitting there with her thumb just digging her own face and not even realizing she's doing it.
Wow.
And we didn't know it was at that time. We were all, myself and her husband were sitting there. She gets up because she thought she had something in her eye. Her husband checks. She goes back in the same seat and she starts doing it again, and her face starts morphing. And I caught all this on a DVR camera. And when I replayed the footage, I was like, no way. And then I started comparing Amy Allen's drawing to her face morphing, and she morphed into Ethel Turner.
Wow. Wow.
So,
That would have been scary too to see something like that going on. And
oh yeah, and it freaked her out. She was gonna go back with us. She came to the theater the next time we went to do it. She turned around, went right back home. Couldn't do it.
gonna do it. Yeah. I
And
wouldn't blame her.
that same night, she when she had the scratches on her face, I made her stay up, watch cameras with my dad and the owner while the rest of us went out. And then they had another experience. She was with my other former member, and they were raveling up one of my DVR cables. Well, they were in this one closet where we had a camera set up, and they got chicken wire on there. And I'm down in the basement, right underneath them, picking up a camera, and I hear them both scream, and you can hear the chicken wire sitting there rocking back and forth. And
Mm.
Estel's known to hang in that closet and in the back hallway going to the basement. And he's known to hang behind Cinema One behind the screen in the hallway.
Wow. Is that theater still open?
Oh yeah, it's still an active working movie theater. She still shows movies. They were gonna they were gonna tear it down, and she ended up buying it and then opened it up and did a little bit of work in there. They remodeled a bunch of stuff with some new chairs and everything in there. But her staff all the time reports stuff going on in there. She'll get a hold of me when stuff's going on in there. She had two staff members in there cleaning, and they could hear two people talking back and forth, and then the chairs are sitting there going like this up and down.
So they're watching a
And
movie.
yeah, a lot of them won't be in there by themselves. Or one staff member, she would get pinched all the time, which is from another spirit in there named Nellie Price, who had been kidnapped and murdered. She was waiting for a date. There was a car lot right next to where the theater was, where the theater is, and it's now a store. But she was waiting there for her date. Well, she never made her date. She went missing for 17 years, and they found her bound and gagged in the Missouri River. She had been strangled to death with window weight,
Oh.
and the guy she was waiting for had a perfect alibi. He was, and so she also, because that's the last place she was right near the theater. So now her spirit haunts the theater as well, and she doesn't like the living. She will bang on stuff. She will pinch you.
Mm.
She's few EVPs I've caught of her. She's not very friendly on EVPs, and so we tried to actually find her grave site. We found the cemetery she's buried in, but she's in an unmarked grave.
Oh.
Pay our respects, put flowers on it. See, maybe that would calm her spirit down a little bit. And
Wow.
even her is in an unmarked grave. She's buried next to her dad, and we can't find it.
Wow. Do you think she's upset about that or just because
I
of what
think
happened to her?
I think a little bit of both. And anytime I go in there, I'm respectful to her.
Yeah, you kind of have to be
Conversation with her
respectful. Yeah.
and show her that not all men are bad. That she doesn't have to hate all living people. And so far, that's been working. She's been kind of what they tell me. She's been kind of calm, and they did find her shoes in the theater. There used to be a
Oh,
balcony up top where they had a bunch of chairs, and they closed that all in, and they when after they closed it in, they were crawling up in there and they found her shoes up there. They
Oh,
believe are hers. And I actually saw her down in the basement of the theater. We were down there checking out an area because Amy Allen said there's supposedly kids buried in the basement somewhere.
wow.
And so we were looking at a logical spot that they could be.
Right.
And I was looking over my one member's shoulder, and she's like, "What are you doing? Don't do that." I said, "Well, then get out of my way because there's something looking at us right there." And it was a full body apparition of a woman, all white color,
Mm-hmm.
looking at us. I went towards her, and my one member circled around the other way, and she went to this one room, and there was a bag on the floor, and you can hear the bag move. And there was a big old gap like this in the wall, so my one member was peeking through the wall, so there's no way she could have got away from us.
Wow.
And it was on, and I caught her on my digital recorder down in the basement too, because they do a haunted house there for Halloween, so they used to use the basement. And there's a fake spider webs down there, and I ended up walking into them in the dark, and I said, "Well, I'm in some fake spider webs," and you hear a woman's voice on the recorder go, "Yes." And then they had a baby doll that is motion activated hanging by its neck from wire down there. We were all down there. This was the second time we investigated. We were down there, and my members are standing there, and that baby doll, something untwisted the wire around its neck, and the baby doll hit the floor. Freaked all of them out, and then that baby started talking when it hit the floor.
Because the motion of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was something was trying to get our attention down there, and
Yeah.
we were in the middle of setting up, so we didn't have nothing running at that time or anything like that. Another night we set up all the DVR cameras and had every DVR camera go down in
Wow.
that place, and couldn't
Wow.
explain. We messed with them and couldn't get them to come back up, and then finally all of a sudden they just went back to normal. Popped every one of them popped right back up.
It's testing you.
Yep. Yep. Oh, you could sit there and watch movies, especially in cinema too, and you could watch them. They'll walk in front of the screen across the stage.
And what does the audience think of that?
A lot of them don't pay attention because they're watching the movies. But there was one kid, he was being disruptive. We were watching one of the Halloween movies in there, and we're sitting there watching, and it got silent. And the kid goes, "Are you scared, Stanley?" I said to him, and he kept doing this throughout the movie. And I said, "You might want to be, because there's somebody sitting right next to you." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "You never heard about this place is haunted? It was on TV." "No, I never heard of it." I said, "Go watch Dead Files." I said, "You got a ghost sitting right next to you, and it's a woman." He got up. He got up and left. Eventually, he felt the cold air because it got up and it ran right past him, and he felt the cold breeze right past
So what do you think he's doing
him.
now? Do you think he's a investigator now?
I doubt it. The owner told me, it says, "I need you here more often for security. You just tell them there's ghosts sitting next to them, and they get up and leave when they're disruptive." And then I took the owner and her daughter, her son-in-law, and her daughter's friend one night after the haunted house, and we went up to cinema too, and sitting up there, and we had my one member. She was running the. I was running Spirit Talker. She was running another one, Vox. And it, Spirit Talker said touch, and then the Vox goes Daniela, which was the daughter's friend.
Oh
And
boy.
we all started laughing, and Daniela's like, nope, get me out of here.
I'm done.
Yep, he was done. My dad's gotten pushed in that theater. The first time we were there, we were checking out the projection booth, and he was getting ready to come upstairs, and something tried to push him over the balcony.
Yikes.
And yeah, he took his shirt off, and you could see a hand print of all fingers on his back.
Wow.
And
That's
then
a pretty good push.
yeah, he hit the floor, and my dad seen it. It was that Estel Turner, and he was after a child because there's child spirits in there too. And that place has got tunnels under it, under the Cinema One. There's tunnels under the floor that go out to the street. Some of them already collapsed,
Wow.
and yeah, it's a pretty interesting place to investigate. A lot
Yeah.
of times quiet, sometimes it's active. Couple of us slept in Cinema Two, which is the most active spot, and I woke up to I had my millimeter with REM pod sitting next to me, and I woke up to my millimeter spiking and the REM pod going off right next to me. So they were checking me out sleeping in one of the chairs.
Wow. Wow. So you're saying there's tunnels underneath. Are those tunnels from like early on of,
Yeah, I think they were from the 20s because back then they used to bootleg through tunnels
yeah.
and stuff like that. That movie theater's actually got its own separate entrance for black people too,
Oh,
way back
okay.
then. So their
Okay.
whole entrance is black, and it still has the sign on it that says black people only through this entrance.
Yeah, we
But
have
I guess
that here. We have some places like that here up in Fort Collins. There's I took a tour just this past July, and most of the places we went to were all underground, and it's from their jails and bootlegging and all of that. That was all underground. It's very interesting.
yeah, we did a hotel in Rockport, Missouri that has ties to the Kansas City mob. The owner of it, George Opp, he had a speakeasy in the basement of the hotel, and he was a liquor maker. He had a tunnel that went under the street to his liquor store where he would bootleg the liquor across from the liquor store into the speakeasy. And he was about 6'5" German guy, so they wouldn't take him into the mob because he wasn't Italian, but he would let them use the basement for their speakeasy and stuff like that. And they found a shovel, which the mob used to leave, like if you talk, what's going to happen to you.
Hmm.
They say his bootlegging truck is buried under the hotel somewhere. And that hotel's burned down 3 times, been rebuilt. And the last time here that it was built was in like the 1930s that it was rebuilt. And that one caught on fire, but they managed to save that one. But back in the 1800s, a fireman fell to his death in that hotel. He was fighting that blaze, and he was up on the roof, and he got overcame with smoke. Well, he thought he was jumping down to the next roof. He went through the skylight and fell to his death, and a piece of glass came down, pierced right through his coat, right into his heart. And so the owner called us in because she was experiencing stuff. She wouldn't be there after 9 o'clock because stuff was going on. And we went there the first time during our walkthrough, and this broad daylight. There's a storefront, and then it goes back into the ballroom. We're walking through, and all of a sudden the door slams right behind us, and the door was wedged open. And later that night, one of my investigators and I, we both heard the piano play in the ballroom. Now the piano's broken; it hasn't played a note in years. And walk into the storefront where my dad's sitting watching DVR cameras, and it's Missouri summer. We get up to 100 degrees here, and it was hot that day. We were all in t-shirts. Walk in there, and you can see your breath out of your mouth. And my dad's sitting there freezing. Something was bothering him, and I asked him, "Are you all right?" He says, "No, I'm freezing." So we had to get him a blanket, a heat lamp, something warm to drink to warm him back up. And I told whatever it was to get away from him. It didn't have permission. And so we finished that night up. We and my dad and two other members, we went back one night because our one investigation got canceled. And we're in the lobby talking to the owner, and it's past 9 o'clock. You could see she was on edge, but he felt okay with us being there. My dad rings this bell, was part of the hotel, goes to sit down in the chair, and this big old white light glow goes around him. All four of us saw it, and we're like, "What is that?" Couldn't explain it. And that night, we started investigating. I rung that bell again, and we heard footsteps upstairs above us, up in the library. So, like, let's go up there and check that out. So we go in the library, and two of my members stayed towards the front of the library. I'm like, I'm gonna walk back here by myself. So I start walking back there, and I hear this loud thump, like metallic. And I was filming video at that time, and I was able to capture it on video. And I react to it, and I walk over. And there's this metal toolbox. I lift the lid and recreate the sound. Something lifted that metal toolbox up and slammed it back down with force. And we went back again later on and spent the night there. The rest of my team, they decided they want to go to a fancy hotel. My dad and I were like, we're not going to spend the money. We're going to stay right here. Place has no running water, no power, so we're running off a generator. And we're staying in the storefront. My dad's staying in the chair, and I'm on the couch. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, the generator kicks off. So I said, "The heck with it. I'm not getting up with gas. I'm tired." And my dad says, "Hey, you sleeping?" I'm like, "Barely." And he says, "Look up in the doorway." And we look up, and here's a 6'5" black shadow figure staring at us. Didn't do nothing, just stood there looking at us, and then just disappeared. And I think it might have been the former owner. I think figured, hey, I got guests in my hotel. Power went out. I'm going to check on them, make sure they're okay. He never did bother us. Nobody's ever been hurt in that place or been pushed or hit. And that morning, broad daylight, I hear a whole conversation going on in the lobby, and I figured some kids broke in. So I was getting ready to sneak up and run them out of there. I go out in the lobby, there's nobody. And you can hear just two people talking away. And we were going to take the hotel over and restore it, but it needed a lot of work. And I mean, the roof was in bad shape. I mean, a lot of the wood and beams were falling down. There was mold and all kinds of stuff in there. So we hands of it.
Yeah.
And
Bummer.
yeah, it's a neat place. A lot of history. Truman stayed there. Pretty Boy Floyd stayed there.
Pink Floyd?
Pretty Boy Floyd, the gangster.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, what?
And then
Okay.
Harry S. Truman stayed there when he gave his speech at the old high school there in Rockport. He stayed at that hotel.
Wow.
And we've done Missouri State Penitentiary, which is another big world
That's a big
renowned.
one. Hmm.
We've been there about 3 times and had a lot of good experiences out of there. We were there with our family, the Devils on the Run tour, when they had some of the Warren's Occult Museum items there.
No, no.
And we got to investigate with Nesper and some of the guys from Get Haunted. And they had this girl, she had what they call Pott's disease, has something to do with your heart. And she got severely drained from the items being there and then that prison alone with all the activity in there. They thought they were going to have to call the ambulance for her. So they brought her down to the lobby, and my dad said, "Leave her here with me, and I'll work with her." So my dad put some holy water on his hands and did some prayers with her, and they all seen that white glow go around him again with it and couldn't
Hmm.
believe it. And he gave this girl his cleansing medallion. She snapped right out of it, was fine for the rest of the night. She gave my dad a hug and everything,
Wow.
and I don't know to this day. I guess she's still good too, what I've heard. So, but
Good.
that place is interesting. I've walked out twice with cigarette burn bruises on my arm. In that place,
And with like this,
I've been,
go ahead.
I've been touched in there. I've had something grab my arm and touch me in there, and
So when you get like cigarette burns and scratches and things like that, like the cigarettes burn, do they actually like leave like a scar forever, or is this something that like dissipates later?
mine actually disappeared. I had them on inside this arm here the first time I went, and then this past summer it was in my forearm inside here. They're gone now, but the demonic scratches that I got, those are scarred. I still
Wow.
have them. I got that in a case in Oklahoma. Guy was doing demonic worshiping in his home, and he had a 9 and 10 year old and a 19-year-old in there. And his mom called us in, and with all the negative, where they live is on the Trail of Tears. So, and the Trail of Tears was a violent Native American battle between the government and the Native Americans that ran off their land in Oklahoma. So, and then with him doing all that negative, he conjured up something in his house, and it was bad. My dad and I were the only ones that could make it since it was such an emergency case. We go down there and started investigating. I seen what stuff he was into. I ended up confiscating his items that he was using. He had a book on witchcraft and how to sacrifice and kill people. He had a goat's head necklace
Oh,
with a
wow.
pentagram. He was using a Buddhist sing bowl for demonic practices. And so later that night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, I decided to take a break, sitting letting the cameras do their work, just watching them with my dad. And all of a sudden, the camera in the hallway just sat there and started pulsating like static. I figured it was just camera malfunction. Then it started getting worse. And when it got progressively worse, this black figure showed up on it. And that thing was standing over 6 feet tall. We kept watching it, kept watching it. I said to my dad, keep watching it, and I'm going to go back there and check it out. Well, I go back in that hallway, and I'm staring straight at it down the hallway. And you could feel the heaviness and the pressure with it, that it was not friendly. So I wear a St. Benedict's medal that's been blessed by the Vatican, and I'm hanging on to that. Well, that thing saw that medal, and it dropped down to like 5 feet tall, come running directly at me, disappeared at my legs, and then I ended up with 3 scratches down this arm that looked like someone took razor blades. And that was its warning, like, get out of here or I'm going to hurt you.
Wow.
And I stood my ground. I didn't show fear, and I wasn't backing down from it. And I was able to get it out of the house. I went through and I cleansed the whole house. But the guy, this case didn't have a very happy ending. We helped the family, but the guy reverted back to his old ways again. He wouldn't do our cleansings with holy water. And I told his mother, I said, get these kids out of here because this thing's only going to come back. I may
Wow.
have gotten rid of it for a little bit, but when it comes back, it's going to come back 10 times worse and it's going to be angry. Told his girlfriend the same thing, get out of there, because he's not going to listen to our instructions. He's going to go right back to the way he was.
Mm.
So she got the young kids out of there. The 19-year-old moved out of there. Well, he was going down the road with the girlfriend, and she said his eyes changed black, and she tried to strangle him. He tried to strangle her while they were doing 70 down the highway. She dove out of the moving vehicle to get away from him. Broke her leg, road burn, pretty bad. And he wanted us out of there from the get go, and he had to go to
Right.
work. His mom says, I'm not making him leave. I asked him to be here. This is my property. They're staying. So she ended up leaving him. And last I heard, he's locked up.
Wow. Has there been any area that has made you leave and not go back?
Um, that was one of them that I will not go back to down in there. Um, there's so much sadness and everything down in there. It's overwhelming. Like cemeteries, I don't investigate cemeteries unless I'm called to. Because to me, a cemetery is place supposed to be a place of peace. I mean, even though it's not exactly true. I mean, there is haunted cemeteries, but I'll only go if I get called out for an urban legend or something like that, for law enforcement or anything like that. Otherwise, I won't investigate a cemetery. I mean, I like walking through them, checking out the old stones and stuff, but I won't bring equipment in there if I'm doing that unless I'm called to do it.
So
Because you get
how does the police feel with you by working with you? Are they open to listening to you or working with you?
some some are, some aren't. Some of them, they want to know why I'm there, and they don't want me there. So especially the ones that know, they know, they can tell when you have those abilities, and you can see them. And my dad and I walk through the door. As soon as we walk in the door, we can always tell a client what's there. But we don't say nothing until we have all the evidence. We'll go through the evidence and verify it first before we'll actually tell a client anything. But my dad and I already know what's there when we walk in the door, because you can feel the difference between a regular spirit and something darker. With a regular spirit, it's going to feel normal. You're not going to feel that intense pressure. Or it's something darker. When you walk in there, you're going to feel that pressure pushing against your chest. You're going to feel like you're walking like in mud, is how it's going to be with something darker and demonic. But the demonic is there, but it's rare. I mean, you'll encounter it maybe twice out of maybe 100 cases you do. You'll encounter maybe something dark, but not all the time. Most of the time, it's a regular spirit that's angry because you're changing something they're used to in their house.
Yeah.
So they'll
Yeah.
start acting up and manipulating things just to scare you out of there because they're protecting what's theirs. To them, you're trespassing. You don't belong there. That's their house. And it's like I
Yeah.
tell everybody, what do you want to do when a burglar breaks into your house? What's your natural instinct? You're going to want to hurt them
Right.
because you're wanting to protect your space. That's all they're doing too. They're protecting their space because they don't realize they're gone. To them, they still own that property. It's still theirs.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
try not to
Yeah.
send the good ones out. A lot of times they'll move on their own, or they'll make amends with the people that own it now. And then there's a lot of times the clients just want them gone. So
Can you make them go though? You can't necessarily make them go, not unless
I
they're
I
ready.
tell 'em, you can't make them unless they're ready to go. I said I can cleanse them out and push them out, but it's not right to them because it is their property. You guys need to find how you can coincide together, and eventually, when he's ready or she, they'll move on. They'll go.
Yeah.
Like that demonic case that I did. There's a man there that used to live in the house, and he was there actually protecting her because he saw what was there with her,
Mm.
and he was protecting her grandkids that were coming in the house too. And they still see him once in a while. He still pops in. He'll come in the hallway, and the grandkids will see him, and they'll wave to him, and he'll wave back, and then he'll leave,
That's
and he's
cool. I
happy
like
with
it when
that
that
family.
happens.
Yep, he's
Yeah.
happy with that family in there, and I even rest assured to him that the family, they're not here to harm his property. They're here to live just like you did. They're not here to disrespect anything. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know we can keep going on and on and on and on.
oh yeah, I've done this for 31 years, so
You're
I've
welcome
seen a
to come
lot,
back.
done a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
for
welcome to
sure.
come back and we'll talk more because these things are very intriguing to me. I haven't done too many investigations or anything with a group. I kind of like to, though, do it once or
Mhm.
twice, kind of see what it's like because I think it would be petrifying scary, but at the same time very like
Right.
I don't know what to say. I mean, just the experience would be just so amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting, and then a lot of times it can be boring too. You could be sitting there for hours and nothing going on, and you're wanting to go to sleep. There's a few times we've nodded off on investigations because there was nothing going on.
Yeah. I'd
None
probably
of
be
the
awake the whole night, but
none of the equipment's reacting, nothing. So it's just like it starts getting boring after a while. But and then other times it's just full blown active, and it's just nonstop. Like Missouri State is just like nonstop. Everywhere you go in that place, you're finding something going on.
Yeah.
especially the
Yeah.
dungeon.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh.
one of my favorite places.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll talk about that next time. How's that? Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. All right. Do you have any closing comments about investigating or anything like that? Anything you would suggest to people?
Yeah, if you're gonna start investigating, go with a group. Don't try to jump in it head over heels. Go with a group, get experience, learn, research, read, and don't be a thrill seeker because thrill seeker is only going to get you hurt. You run into these abandoned buildings you know nothing about, you don't know what's in there, you can get yourself hurt. Don't trespass, always ask permission because then if you trespass, you ruin it for the rest of us that do actually ask permission to go in these locations. There's many places that are getting shut down because of it. They won't let nobody in.
Yeah. Been hearing about that. So good points, good points. So be respectful.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Don't
All right.
vandalize.
Well, we're going to put his information in the notes below so that you guys out in Missouri can contact him if you need to or maybe want to. And
Yep. And I
if you,
also have my own podcast.
yes,
I
you
also have
do.
a podcast.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll put all that information in the notes and then check him out. It'll be awesome. He's got tons of stories. You can tell. Just look at him. So if anybody out there has any stories you would like to share, email me, lighttalk423@gmail.com, and we will talk with everybody next time. Thanks for being a guest on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. And we'll see everybody next time. All right. Bye.